Welcome to Face Forward, the podcast, the series that takes you behind the scenes of the riveting world of clinical trial management. I am your host, Valerie Coveney, and I am thrilled to be your guide on this journey through the nuances of planning, executing, and navigating the clinical research landscape. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming a guest with over 2 decades of experience in the pharmaceutical industry. She has successfully led numerous international teams fostering nourishing work environments where all parties contribute and grow both professionally and personally. Our conversation will focus on the effective implementation of a human-centric approach in people management and its impact on service quality and financial results. So let's extend a warm welcome to Indero's Senior Project Director in Project Management, Beatriz Aguirre. Welcome.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to transmit what really I'm passionate about. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be perfect. Thank you for being here. So if you'll allow me, I would dive right in and let's take it from the very top. Why is it important to revisit the way we lead?
I think it's the reality that is somehow asking for it. What I'm going to talk about today is something that I have been applying and always, in my past life, but it's after COVID times where I have seen a change and people really asking for it. And now every time I do interview, for new people to join us, that's always the reason. People are looking for more human environments. They are sick of working with lack of meaning. So they really so that they are prioritizing values and culture over salary. So that's something that the market is demanding. I think as leaders, we also have a responsibility because we are seeing the mental health rates increasing like crazy. And that's just a demonstration that the current paradigm is not working anymore. There is something that we are not doing well and that we need to adjust. And as I said, I think we have a responsibility on that. And I think that comes from the fact that we have been focusing on managing the task and the results only, and forgetting that those tasks and results are performed by people who are human beings and that have human needs that we are not addressing. So I think that's what we often overstep on and something that we need to change. Also, we are operating more and more on a very competitive landscape, and companies are constantly seeking for ways to differentiate. And again, this genuine care for people is a factor that we often forget, but that has a huge impact on business success. So that's what I hope with this conversation, we can bring some real examples and how to put that into practice. And it's not something that we are like reinventing, it's more simple and obvious that it would look like. And there is a very good example that I always like to refer to, and is that in the Olympic Games, there was a time where we were reaching the records, and they were not overpassing them until they realized that they were not able to improve on the performance of the athletes. Just by training and by working on the actual race or whatever discipline that they were doing. And they realized that, and they started to also work on the mental side, if I may say, and having them working on their way they manage themselves, the image that they have about themselves, what they can achieve or what they cannot. So they really started to introduce personal coaches, to help them developing personally. And after doing that is when they realized that they started to see performance improvement. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit the same concept, is that if we just manage the task, there is a max or a top that you achieve. And if you want to really, get the best potential of people, you really need to invest on working on that mindset side as well, which is what we can do through leadership.
Definitely. So this brings the conversation evidently to the concept of team morale. And I think this is a concept, from my opinion, that has been seen a lot. I feel like it's something we talk about a lot and is discussed in many ways, different angles. And yeah, so what's your take on team morale and how does it affect or how is it crucial to the corporate setting?
Yes, as said, is by recognizing that the results and the success are driven by the people that work, on for us, and that as human beings, we give our best when we feel good. So it's
Yeah.
as basic as that, and what do we when we are as opposed to that, under stress or fear, or when we have lack of direction, our performance is severely impacted. um, it's a little bit surprising to still see that there are some management styles, that feel that just by putting more pressure and that we will improve something and get more, but that actually doesn't work. I also like this analogy that if you continue to squeeze a lemon, you will not get more juice. You know what I mean? If
I
you
agree.
really want more out of it, you have to water the land, you have to nourish it, you have to, and then your tree can give more lemons. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily just by pressing. So it's a good analogy, but it's super important that our teams have the environment around them where they can grow. It's the same. We have to water that land. We have to create that environment for them, so they feel safe, seen. They feel part of something bigger than us, which is belonging, and they also feel fulfilled as human beings. And we all have the need to feel that we are contributing to something bigger than us, and we need to have a why, which is something that it's very important. So really, when we focus on fulfilling those needs genuinely, the commitment and the well-being increase, which leads to better service and business outcome. And again, when I say genuine, it means if we do this to get those better results, that won't work because it's not genuine. We do it because we are people. We treat them in the same way that we want to be treated and how they deserve. But the good thing is because that makes them feel valued and safe and that they belong, then the results are a consequence of that. They are not a mean, but you see that happening.
Definitely. And so I see this going on to like the leaders. So how can the leader of a group or of a team have an impact on this team morale? What is their role in this big project? Because I feel like it goes on them a lot in this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end, we lead by example. Is we like with our kids, right? Our kids don't do what we tell them to do; they do what they see us doing, right?
Yes.
So as leaders, we are constantly modeling. We want it or we don't want it. So that's important. One of the main things for me of a leader is to work on yourself, to be self-aware, to lead yourself first, because again, we cannot give what we don't have, right? But if we model that and really take the interests of our people at heart, it has a huge impact. The first thing that I think as leaders we need to change, and it's what I call the leadership of service, is changing the question, how do I get what I need, by what can I give? So it's really leading to serve. And if we focus on that, again, we get back. but
Yes.
but the focus really should be on what can I do to really, create that environment for people to be at their best. It means leading with integrity and honesty also. I know there are many places, and that's one of the biggest praise that we get from our team to recognize that this is true. It's not just values in the walls, that
Yeah.
at the end people don't follow. So we really, as leader, need to do what they say and and as I mentioned, to lead by example and really because you believe on that. So I always say that to create psychological safety. Um, we need the truth. We need transparency. We need people to know what they are dealing with. Sometimes the truth is not pleasant, it's not comfortable, but that gives you, the confidence that
Mm-hmm.
you are exposed to what is really happening, and then you deal with what is in there, so you don't have to be guessing or trying to figure out what is in the back. For me, one of the most powerful tools also to exercise this type of leadership is trusting by default.
Mm.
I know we sometimes, we want things to go well, and we tend to exercise control. But again, it's like with the kids, if people tend to behave and to perform to the level of the expectations you have about themselves. So, when you trust people, people really step up and accountable for what they are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Demonstrated genuine care beyond their results. So it's, as I mentioned before, it's just have their interests at heart. It's for sure we all need results. For sure we have to recognize our team members when they achieve things, but we cannot disregard what they had to do to get there, and sometimes it's a rocky path. It has been so, and sometimes the results just don't come, but it
Mm.
doesn't diminish the effort that they did. So it's not focusing just on the result. Fostering peers meaningful connection, again, belonging is one of the key things on all the statistics and studies that are around. This is one of the main things that people rank at the higher level,
Yes.
in the workplace. At the end, we are human, we are social beings, and we need connection. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to make sure that we foster meaningful and good bonds between colleagues and have zero tolerance to toxic behaviors. And one thing that to me is super, super powerful is helping them to identify the why. As I mentioned before, we all have the need to really contribute to something that is
Yes.
bigger than us. When I start working on that with new team members, at the beginning, it looks like a very big question, it's like,
Yes.
but it's much easier than that. We all want to help resolving what we lack the most or what it's more important for us because it hurts us the most. And even if you don't realize, and I don't have, there are no exceptions on this, I have always seen this, we all naturally develop the capacity to give others what is most important for us because we
Mm.
lack it when in our previous life. So identifying what is that thing that for you is really key and giving them the opportunity to apply that on their day to day and recognize that this is the added value that they bring. Actually, when we do 360 review, it's very nice to see that people will always highlight particularly that one thing,
Yes.
for each of them. So again, that is giving them a why beyond the task, and it's all about human connection. It's what you bring with others, how you make others feel, and that makes a big difference as well. Uh, So yeah, for sure, creating and promoting opportunities for professional growth. But as I said, not only professional, but also personal. It's how you get better as a leader, how you develop, as a human being, and not only on the technical side. So I think I gave
Yeah,
a few examples. I hope I
yeah,
covered.
yeah. So if we were to take a step back and look at the corporate world as it is now, what would you say would be missing? What could we add to it to make it more approachable for this type of strategy?
Yeah, I know it might sound a little weird, but but I will say it as it is. And to me, we are as I mentioned, we are human beings, and some human beings we have needs. I also mentioned that we don't operate well under fear,
No.
and the opposite of fear is love. So I
Mm,
think we really miss love on our corporate environment. Um, we miss passion. That's a link with what I was saying on the why. So it's really feeling that you are contributing to something that really matters to you. That's what brings the passion. We need meaning, and we need personal development. Again, not just focusing on managing the task, but managing or leading the person to help them grow. So when they feel that they are working in a environment that allows them to grow, not only
mm-hmm.
professionally but also personally. Um, that makes a complete difference, and that also completely has a direct impact also on the dynamics on the not only with the internal teams but also with the clients. Like the more you grow personally, the better leader you become. And the better connections you can establish around you, and the better you manage conflicts that are part of life and happen all the time, also on the business environment. So yeah, I think these are things that we tend to leave them for the personal side. But as I always say, there is no such a personal or professional side. We are people
Yes.
undertaking a professional activity, but we remain people. You know what I mean? We cannot leave
Yes.
the personal side on the door when we come to work. We are the same person at the end.
Yes, and we spend all our days with our colleagues, with our sponsors, with our clients. It's our everyday life. It's who we are. So I completely agree with you. It's a one whole. So if we were to take this concept, which is great, I love the approach, the human-centric approach. How would this translate if we were to take a business approach? Because it's part of the equation, right? So how would we translate this human-oriented leadership strategy into an overall business success?
Um, I think that the main thing here is understanding that the results are a consequence and not a mean. And we have also in the studies and statistic that confirm that people quit their boss more than anything else. So really, when you apply this human approach, it fosters an environment where employees feel valued and motivated, and that has a direct impact on the turnover rates to start with, but it also leads higher levels of engagement, innovation, and productivity that has a direct impact on their results. At the end, when you feel good, you provide better service, you are more productive, more creative. You need to feel safe and good in order to give your best. And as I explained before, this has a cascade effect because you are working with people on that, but that translate on how they lead their internal teams and how they interact with them, and that goes beyond. So it helps you to also expand the healthy atmosphere that you want at the workplace. Um, and for sure, this is much more effective if this approach is taken from the top of the organization down and cascaded down, right? Because you
Yes.
ensure that it reaches all areas of the organization. And there are multiple examples of organizations that do that really see a big increase in their performance. And at the end, that we can't forget that our providers, our clients, they are also people, right? And
Yes.
and they need the same. They need to feel seen and understood and taken care of. And that's actually our case. Our customers come to us for the boutique attention and personalized attention and for the interactions that they have, with our PMs and the servers that they provide. And again, they just treat our clients in the same way they are treated. This is a very famous quote from Richard Branson, but it works like that, right? You don't need to take care of your clients, take care of your people, and they will take care of your clients. At the end, we see also that often, when you go into a business for whatever reason, and you see the service that people provide, you can very easily see what is the culture that is behind that company. It's very, very obvious.
Do you have tangible examples of changes you might have observed with the approach we're discussing today?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the turnover rates improved significantly, and from the moment that we started to apply this serving leadership approach. So they increase very significantly after 6 months and having maintained on the same level since then. We have had team members that have rejected, very appealing offers just because they like, the culture here.
Yes. Wow.
So again, we cannot compete just with money, right? People are looking for something else. As I mentioned earlier, also they recognize and really appreciate, how they are growing professionally and personally, and that's a big recognition on what we are doing. Our contribution and gross margins increase significantly as well. For sure, there are many factors influencing that. It's not only that. I get it, but this is clearly something that is influencing that as well. And finally, the customer satisfaction scores, as well as the repeat business, as I explained before, have clearly improved as well. So you see it transversally in all of the aspects, how a people-oriented approach translates into everything else.
Yes, absolutely. Beatriz, I feel like I could have talked about this for hours with you, but this concludes our episodes for today. So it was a true pleasure having you and discussing this subject. I really hope it goes a long way. Maybe it's going to influence some people in the corporate world to have a more human approach to leading their teams. So thank you so much again for being part of this initiative.
Thank you. Thank you for you. It was a pleasure.
As we conclude another illuminating episode of Face Forward, we find ourselves at the crossroads of science and progress. Remember that behind the jargon and statistics lie stories of unwavering commitment, meticulous observation, and the pursuit of evidence that shapes our understanding of health and disease. Stay at the forefront of knowledge and innovation and follow Face Forward on your preferred platform. My name is Valerie Kovney. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.